I don't think Black Clover has had an arc that's disappointed me yet. Hello everyone, and welcome to my review of the Black Clover Witch's Forest arc. This arc set up so many things for the future of the story, and brought back many characters I have been waiting to see for some time. So first off, I like to summarize the arc and just give my overall thoughts as I go through it. Now the arc doesn't really start here, but the impact of the stuff that happens later feels like this part is needed to be summarized as well for it to have the same weight it did when I read it. We start off with the Diamond Kingdom launching an attack on the Clover Kingdom, with the Golden Dawn being the ones to arrive on the scene. And we get to see Yuno after a few arcs. Now I want to talk about Yuno for a bit. He gets a lot of shit, and I mean a lot of shit, because people think he doesn't deserve the power-ups he gets. But to me personally, that is the entire point. Yuno is the deuteragonist of the story. He's the second main character in a way. Therefore, he is naturally having his own adventures. Ones we don't see, ones that push him to his limits and forced him to evolve just like Asta does. But that's bullshit. And it's supposed to be bullshit. It feels undeserved. Like everything Asta puts in just to be worthless compared to some of the bullshit this guy pulls, who gets literally everything handed to him on the silver platter. At least it feels that way sometimes. I know he was orphaned as well growing up. This is what makes him so effective though. It makes me root for Asta so much more just because I cannot wait to see Yuno get knocked down into the dirt just once. Just once. And speaking of people we want to see get their asses beat, Langris steps up to the plate. And this guy is as much as a scumbag as you can be. He's everything a Magic Knight shouldn't be, and the exact opposite of his brother. I do not know why he hates him so much, but someone this pathetic either has the best reason in history or absolutely no fucking reason at all. The last member of the Golden Dawn we meet is Vengeance, their captain. And something's off with this guy. Sure, his scar makes him not the Lich we saw Yami fight, but it doesn't quite line up. He just looks way too similar to him. There has to be some kind of link between the two, because I can just tell something's off with him. I just don't know what it is yet. Anyways, let's get into the real meat and bones of this arc. The curse Veto placed on Asta's arms. You see in their fight with Veto, Asta got his hands grabbed by Veto and he basically paralyzed them with some sort of curse. When the Black Bulls found out, each of them tried to find their own way to help him. Now here's where we end up meeting some characters from the light novels. And yes, I actually did read the novel and it was pretty good. You see, Dominetta and Vanessa, who already is on her way there, grew up in the Forest of Witches, which is ruled by an extremely powerful queen who might be able to remove the curse on Asta's arms. However, she is insanely brutal, to the point of child abuse, and is not likely to be convinced to help them. But they don't see any other options, so off to the forest they go, snagging Asta on the way there. And they actually somehow manage to get in through their usual luck. However, Vanessa is already there, and we do learn a bit more about her past. Her power seems to be connected to something called the Thread of Fate, and some time ago, she was recruited by Yami. Also, all the witches here are really sexist. Though that does make me question how their population grows without any men allowed in, and by some comments we get hit that maybe some darker methods have been used here. The queen is currently beating the life out of her daughter, yes, her daughter, taking notes from Noelle's family, and Lux's family, and Finril's family. You know, I'm starting to see a pattern here, and I'm kind of scared what kind of past Yami has for him to always recruit people like this. However, Vanessa's rescue is interrupted by the Midnight Sun and the Diamond Kingdom arriving. I was losing my shit when this happened. I was so happy to see Mars again. The queen agrees to heal Asta and actually gives him a little extra too. And our three-way clash begins. Fenzil's group goes to face the Diamond Kingdom due to them being former members, and Fenzil himself being one of the trainers of their highest-ranking soldiers, the Shining Generals. Team Asta faces off against the Midnight Sun, with the squad's leader, Fana, being the host of the Flame Spirit, which honestly is way cooler than the Wind Spirit for me. Because it's a fucking dragon. You do not get much cooler than a fucking dragon. But Asta is honestly more curious about why the Midnight Suns hate humans so much. And this triggers some sort of vision Fana has, where we see someone talking to Lisht about his human friend, who seems to be the first Wizard King. But this group of people Fana is part of all get massacred by humans, coming back to her, opening her third eye like Veto did, and she begins using mineral magic alongside the Flame Spirit. And seeing those two kinds of magic together, Asta is reminded of someone he fought who just so happens to be on the other side of the forest that we cut to. Fanzil presses the Diamond Kingdom for answers on why they are here, and we learn that they're after what is keeping the queen alive, since she's been around for hundreds of years. Fanzil's team joins up with the witches of the forest and the clash begins. However, we learn that the ex-Diamond Kingdom members had missed a lot once they left, and one of the things is the genetic modification that Ladros went through, with one of those modifications giving him the ability to absorb magic and blast it out back again. And when he does, it completely destroys all the witches in his side of the forest, taking out Fanzil and Dominette as well. But there's one unlikely ally left. In Mars's fight with Asta in the underground, it turns out that he had sealed memories, and in the fight, he was able to unlock those memories, which is why we kept seeing flashes of them. When he escaped the dungeon, he went on to save people during his mission, and now he's finally ready to turn against the Diamond Kingdom. He explained that Ladros' absorption has a limit, and by using spirit energy from Fauna, they could overwhelm him and take him out, which is exactly what they do, tricking him into a game of chase until they catch up to Asta's group, who sends a blast from the dragon straight at Ladros, taking him out at least for now. With this new group, after Asta trusts Mars, still has one threat left, but it turns out that Mars actually knows this threat. Turns out that Fauna is also the same Fauna that he knew in the program that altered him, the one who sacrificed herself to save Mars. But something is off about her since she still believes she is the other Fauna, the one Lish knew in his past. Which raises the question if Yami and the Black Bulls killed an innocent man that Veto was possessing. Asta and Mars charge through the flames in an effort to save Fauna, eventually breaking through with Mars hugging Fauna, yelling his apology until he gets through, and the eye on her head shatters, and they both cry, finally being with each other again. Until Ladros is back and actually managed to absorb the blast he was hit with and completely annihilates everyone on the field, leaving just Asta. The two fight for a while, but Asta's anti-magic is just too good of a counter for Ladros' absorption, and he takes him down fairly quick. But there was one last energy source on the battlefield, and Ladros takes it straight from Fauna. And Asta is now getting his ass beat into the wall. Except, remember when I said the queen gave him a little extra? Well, that boost starts kicking in, and it turned out to not be so little, because Asta begins to speak to the devil we saw all the way back in the first chapter, and he offers to take over Asta and end this quickly. And we see Asta with some shadow seeming to cover his body, even giving him a wing and a horn. And he just fucking annihilates Ladros. Like, this was brutal. This same thing that happened to Mars actually happens to Ladros, with the stones on his head breaking and he starts speaking more like his regular self. But that little boost came at quite the cost. Due to the queen using her magic on him to remove his curse, she now has control of the blood in his body and uses him as a meat puppet, and decides to use her new exterminator to get rid of all the pests still on the battlefield. We get a flashback of when Vanessa met Yami, who was the first person to tell her that she's allowed to choose what she wants for herself. And that's what led her to honestly being the Black Bull who's the most free and not weighed down by what anyone thinks. Remembering that these people are the ones who taught her to choose for herself, she awakens the ability the queen had tried to bring out of her for so many years, the thread of fate. But Asta still ends up cutting Noelle's head off. Asta cut Noelle down, but it was only to stab her and kill her even more brutally. Asta began freeing every one of the prisoners, and it was revealed that Fauna's new ability quite literally allows her to change fate and reverse time, making the outcome different. Literally altering fate, to no-diff the queen and make her magic useless. We do see that the queen wasn't always this insane perfectionist we've come to know, and she was once a very sweet mother to Vanessa, but lost herself in her strive for absolute perfection. She leaves, letting her daughter go. I really do hope we see her again. I love a good redemption, and it really seems like she has a lot of love for her daughter that she just failed to show, maybe due to something in her own past. Mars and Ladros leave to return to the Diamond Kingdom and use the Queen's magic to make the king a puppet of their own will, also to free the other Shining Generals. I really do want to know that one that was surrounded in shadow. They're the one I'm looking forward to the most. The Queen gifts them her magic stone as a parting gift and gives some history about the stones, saying they're from elves, a group of people who mastered magic like no one else ever has, and the group that Lisht and his cultists are related to or from. We also see that the demon we saw way back from chapter 1 was actually the leader of the elf tribe, meaning that this world might not have started with the death of a demon, but the genocide of the first magic users. Hell, even Asta's swords were from an elf leader, meaning that someone had to turn them into the state they are now. The Black Bulls return to the base, and we end off on a sweet note of Vanessa being home with her real family. This volume was something special. So many things moved me, and Vanessa is easily a top 5 character for me in this series. It really feels like every Black Bull gets the attention they deserve in the plot. Anyways, if you liked the video, tell me your thoughts on the arc in the comments below. Please like and subscribe, and I will see you all next time.